The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. Thank you to those of you who've joined us for this afternoon's TIMS webinar. I want to wish you a happy Friday Eve. This is Victoria Beal with the LTAP Center, and I have with me Katie Robertson, who is going to be your presenter. But before I turn things over to Katie, I want to just go over a couple quick housekeeping items. Actually, it's just one main housekeeping item, and that's that we are taking questions through the question pod. So I appreciate the person that's already said hello in there. If you have not used the question pod below, please take a moment and drop me a hi or hello in there. That way I know that you've found it. But please do send questions in as Katie's presenting, because she will be stopping periodically to ask me for questions, and I'd like to have whatever it is that's on your mind in there so I can read it off to her and we can get you some responses. So with that, are you ready, Katie?
I'm ready.
Thanks.
Let's do this, guys. Okay, so yeah, we're here to talk about ODOT's TIMS application, Transportation Information Mapping System. And our goal for this site is to provide you with better data so you can make better decisions. Da-da-da. So we have a lot of data. We manage a lot of data, record, inspect a lot of assets, all the attributes for the roadways. There's a lot. So we're hoping that the TIMS applications can be a portal where you can access and interact with all of this data. And we're looking at the homepage now. We're going to start just by quickly overviewing this, and then we'll jump into a scenario to dive into the project data. So here on the homepage, you can hover over to see that the icons usually have a hyperlink associated. So hover over the TIMS icon and you can see the URL that pops up in the bottom. I guess I should have started with how to access TIMS, and you can pull that up at home and follow along. And the URL is gis.dot.state.oh.us/TIMS, or you can just use your search engine of choice, Google, for example, and just search ODOT TIMS, and that should come up. And from there, you can bookmark that into your browser, and it'll be easy to get back to. Going to the other side of the title bar, you can see that the ODOT Zephyr takes you to the external ODOT webpage, and they've recently changed that website, so I'm going to work with them so that you can search TIMS straight from the external ODOT page and get the TIMS site to be the first thing that comes up. So hopefully that'll be coming soon. Okay, here in the middle of the page, we have the site divided into pages. So a tool for searching just our project data, the create a map page where we have all of the layers for all the data that we publish that you can view and interact with. The data download page where you can pick the data sets that you want to download the full data set of, and then choose your format and download for use in your own systems. Our standard PDF maps, which are predefined map templates, and you can just go in and choose your template and then choose your size of paper. And of course, we'll look at all these pages as we get going today. Our map viewers are the same functionality as the Create a Map page, but they are customized for a specific audience. So we have specific layers and maybe the symbols are changed. So we'll do an overview of that later. Our data glossary page is where you'll find all the metadata, the information about all of the layers and their attributes. And then of course, if you're a GCAT user, you access GCAT through the TIMS site. So it has its own button here. And there are separate webinars just going through how to use the GCAT tool. So if you're interested in that, you can check with LTAP to see when the next webinar will be for that. And then down along the bottom, we just have some basic links in the footer. And what's most important is this contact link. because this is where you will get the email address that will go to myself and several others on my team. And if you have any questions about the functionality within TIMS, the data that you're seeing in TIMS, if you're not able to find something or something appears not to be working correctly, you are always welcome to send us an email, and someone will usually get back to you that same day. So you want to remember where to access that. And the help link will open a PDF user guide that you could browse through. It's a really interesting read. So you can, search it as a PDF. If you have any questions about a specific tool, this is a good resource to look things up. Okay. And let's go back to our home page. And we're going to dive into this scenario, assuming that we're interested in finding upcoming projects in the Springfield area. So we're going to get started with our project search page. And this page is intended, it was designed to help users narrow down to just a handful of project records. So we have the quick filter tools at the top, and you can see it remembered my last tool, so you know what I'm getting ready to do. So of course, Springfield is in Clark County. I could start by filtering with the district value. I don't actually know that off the top of my head, but I do know I'm going to be looking for Clark County. And as with all of our pick lists, you can start typing to filter that list. And then you'll see that it tells me it's District 7. So a lot of the filters throughout TIMS are going to work together. And if I would have picked District 7 first, the county list would be filtered to the counties only in District 7. And you can see as I'm setting these filters, the results table is refreshing automatically so that everything will fit onto the screen. I'm going to change the number of records I view at once to just 5 so that you can see this at the bottom. You can see that we pull in over 71,000 project records, and when I filtered down to Clark County, that has limited it to 60. And if we're thinking about like all of the history of all of our projects, well, what we're pulling from is our Ellis project database, and that includes projects back to 2003. And actually, let's go ahead and read the paragraph at the top of the page to it gives us some information about what projects are included here in the TIMS Ellis project database. So find transportation projects from ODOT's project database. This search includes projects with 1, funding categories of Ellis multi-lane major rehab, STIP, major bridge, safety HSP, safety SRTS, local programs, and track. Say that 10 times. Number 2 are completed, current, or future projects with committed funding. So that committed funding is an important thing to note. It won't be in our project system until it has committed funding. And 3, it has to have a valid work location. We can't put it on the map if we don't know where it is. The information provided here are an overview of the project information, not a comprehensive view of the project database. So of course our Ellis database and our Office of Contracts and project teams, they manage just an unimaginable amount of data. And we flatten that out and try to pull what we think might be most useful for our TIMS users here in the TIMS database. The project information is available in TIMS and is updated on a nightly basis. Projects with multiple work locations will result in multiple records, and we're going to talk about that more as we move through this little scenario. So, okay, I am interested in projects in the Springfield area that are upcoming. So let's add a filter for this fiscal year and going out to 2024 fiscal year. And you'll see that it's updated automatically, and I still have 60 entries here at the bottom out of the total, and of course I'm only viewing 5 of them right now. So what we're going to do now is narrow this down. We want to see what's happening on Route 40. We could view all of our results on one page, right? And then we could sort by our route or any of these other fields just by clicking the column header. But that would be sorting and scrolling. We can also use this broad search tool and take advantage of the formatting that's used for our route values and search for 00040 and then click enter to apply that filter. And now if I would have just entered 40, of course, anytime that 4 and 0 occurred together in either the PID field or the log point fields, those would be returned as well. So it's we're able to do that because we use those leading zeros. Okay, so now we're down to 14 project records. And that gets us to like a smaller area for us to focus and dive into this data. But let's talk about what we're looking at here with these records that have been returned. You can see that a PID will have multiple records, and the difference is the location because we map these project locations along the roadway with the route or what we use as a route identifier, NLFID, and then the log points of where they occur along these routes. And not to go too far off onto a tangent, but CTL is County Township Log, and basically when a route crosses a county line, and we're always going to be traveling from southwest to northeast. Each time you cross a county line, that route is the log is going to restart at 0. So just to explain what these numbers will represent. So in order to put them on the map, we have to handle each distinct location as its own record. So it's just something to keep in mind. And let me make sure that I am okay on track with what I wanted to go through. So, okay, so we can also have two types of shapes when we put it onto the map. It could either be a point or a line. So when we have a beginning log point and then an end log point, we're going to see it on the map as a line. However, when there is no end log point, we can only map that as a point. And you'll see that most of those projects are going to be related to bridges or structures. So let's see if I want to send it over to the map now, or let's just keep going and we'll view those point locations in a few minutes. All right, so if we want to get more information about this project PID 103332, we can open a project information page by clicking this View Details button to the far left of the record. And just so I can keep things straight while I'm presenting, I'm going to just open this in a new tab, and that was this very first record. And you can see a lot more attribute information about that project. And now if I opened this project information page for the other record, we could switch back and forth between these two, and you would see that all of the attributes are the same for that shared PID. The only thing that's going to be different is that location. So from this project information page, we have a couple of links. You can link to the Ellis system. I think it's a public-facing, like pared down system, Ellis Proj. Just to give you a quick look, here's how that will look. And then, of course, you can send this straight to the map from here. So when we click this View and Map from the project information page, it's going to send over that one location, not all of the locations for that PID. So you can see in my results table on the map page, I have one record. And now if we wanted to view all of the locations for that PID, we could go back to our project search page and select all the records and then click View and Map. And you'll see that it's brought over both of those locations. Okay. Oops. All right, so if you would have noticed on the project information page, we had those URLs for project plans. And now because we're looking at future projects, those are most likely not going to have their project plans loaded into our contract system. So if we want to go back though, let's refresh. Say we know our PID, we can go back to the main page and pull up that PID again, 103.332, and click enter. It's going to bring us back to this project search page, and our results table will show us both of those records. And just to show you what you might possibly see, if you go to view the project plans for a future project, it'll open our digital paper system, but there won't be, yes, okay. And they have something going on with their system right now. The first time you try to open it, it's not going to load that screen. So if you just do it again, somehow it will go in there. There you go. So this is how it would look if there were no projects, no plans loaded into the contract system. So let's change our search. Let's go back a few fiscal years to 2015 and see if we can't find an example. Okay, so you see in an older project, we have those plans available and you just select it and then open. And you can see you can get all that detail from the TIMS application. Okay. So we've interacted with this project data on the project search page, but the same data is published to the map page. So let's kind of do the same search, but using the tools from the Create a Map page to see how we can do. Let's refresh. Okay. So if we're going to start from the map page, we can expand our project layer grouping in the layers pane, and you'll see that we have all of our projects as points and as lines, and we had talked about why we have to map those in different ways. So we can turn on the full data set, that over 71,000 records. Of course, that's a lot to navigate since we know that we're just looking for upcoming projects. So you can see that's a lot. I'll let it stop drawing. So we can just turn on next for fiscal years and then filter it from here. So up in our toolbar, we're going to scroll over to the funnel icon. And if you hover over it, it'll say filter data. And we're going to filter this layer by geography. Just like we had picked county from the project search page, we can pick county, and you can see we could do county or even urban area. So yeah, let's do that. So we can get it all the way down to Springfield. And again, I'm just going to start typing to filter that list. So it'll zoom to that area that I picked, and then I click search to pull that up in the results table. Now I can see all of the attributes available. We have it pared down in the project search page, just a handful of attributes in the results table, but I have all of them available here in the map page. And again, I can navigate this table by sorting, clicking any header to sort that field. And I can also limit it by entering a term into the broad search tool. And again, that route type field, knowing that we're using those leading zeros, enables us to sort by route with this tool. So we have 6 entries, and you might be thinking that's not the same number of records that we had returned, because we're only searching lines right now, and we have to split those out when we're drawing it on the map, whereas on the project search page we can see all of those records together.
Katie, a quick question that came in. It says,
Yeah.
are you able to search plans using the structure file number, SFN?
At this point, we've had a lot of requests, and we're hoping to have the search by SFN in our next system. But I would want to go through the Ellis table to see if there's a field for that. Let's see if we can. I don't want to get too far off, but if we can, I think that there are some fields for the bridge information, structure file number. Okay. So knowing that we have that field, we could create a filter using our filters by attributes. And if the person who asked that question happened to have a structure file number on hand, if they could maybe paste that in there, I can scroll over here and see if I have an example. I would have to, let's see.
It would surprise me if this person didn't. They said, give me a second. Okay.
Give me a second. Awesome. If I can find, so this is looks like a bridge location. I can filter bridge preservation to help me make sure I'm getting a structure. And then if I come in here, I can get this structure file number. So we'll use this one as an example.
Someone else chimed in and says, I think you can search by attribute, bridges/structures.
Yeah, you can. That's what we're going to do. But if you're looking for a project for that bridge, and that's what I'm going to do here because we're looking at the project table. But of course, you would also be able to search the bridge layer. You would just turn that layer on under assets instead of the projects layer. Okay, so we've turned on our project points, and now I'm going to do a filter by attributes. I want to look for that structure file number.
And I've got one for you if you need it.
Okay.
It's 20.
I'm going to try pasting that in.
Do you want the number? Okay. Just let me know when you want it. I've got one.
Okay, so I pulled that up. Let's type in your sample now. I'm ready.
All right. They gave the number 2506786.
It's not in there. So I wonder if we don't have a project associated, because I am searching the project data set. Okay, we can look into that more, and if he has questions about that specific project,
sure,
then we can talk about that more.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great, because my next step already was going to be building a filter. And so if we were going to do, again, looking at, change my layers, the next 4 fiscal years. If we want to build an attribute, we can be looking at, of course, we're already filtered out by fiscal year. Little notes here. But we can do our location county code, and I think we're going to want the work location. So of course, this is a little clunkier, you know, stepping through the attributes, which aren't always so user-friendly. But if you're familiar with the data, you can, you know, the possibilities are endless. You can add multiple filters with this button. And because we want to also just view by route. So I've just, you know, shown another way to do the same type of query that we've done in the project search page. There you go. Okay. And all of those attributes that we saw on the project information page, they are pulled from this table that we see in the results table. So if we go all the way over, and please mind the scrolling, makes me a little dizzy, those plan links are available here as well. Okay, and now if when we perform these searches and we're populating this results table, we are creating these results layers. They're temporary. Once you refresh the page and reload the TIMS application, those will no longer be there. So we already have two here from this one, and we can switch back and forth by choosing the arrow and then show attributes. And let's see. Okay, so this one was the bridge that we searched. So my most recent search is going to be at the top left. And I can remove this layer, although it seems sometimes that it will show back up again. But I want to repeat that search for points to highlight more how we're viewing this project data into two tables. So now I can go back to my attribute search. And I want to make sure that I pick my layer. And I did this in the wrong order. I had it like so streamlined when I was prepping, but of course, once I start doing this, I get all out of order. So let me just recreate this filter, and then I'll show you what I was hoping to highlight. So we're doing county is Clark, and route Yarg. Sorry, guys. Okay, is, all right. So I can do this search on my points. And then what I had hoped to do is I would not have had any results layers. I would have done this search. I built my filters, applied it to points, and then I can just switch my data set. Oh, and it didn't refresh. So never mind. I guess I'm glad that I didn't do it that way. Okay, but you will have multiple search results, and you can flip back and forth to view either your point record or your line record. Okay, so let's just reload the site. Okay, let's see what else. There is another way to filter that I haven't shown yet that you may have seen in that tool.
And when you're
And
ready,
that's going
I
to be,
have a couple more questions for you.
okay, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm ready.
The first one, they would like to know, are the historic plans quote unquote as built?
So I don't know that I could definitively answer that question. I would assume that if they are the finalized plans for a finished project, that it would be, but I would need someone from Ellis or the Office of Contracts to give that official word. I can note that question, and if the person who asked wants to shoot me an email, I guess we should make sure that my email is provided. If you could add that, are you able to add that
I will.
to the
Yep.
chat box? Okay. Or you can always just send your questions to the generic TIMS site and just mention the webinar, and I'll make sure that I pick that up.
And I'll have that for you in the download afterward of the questions too. So.
Okay, good, perfect.
All right, the next one is more of a suggestion, I think, as opposed to a question. It says, I understand layers and filtering, etc. I'm just unclear of the data that ODOT has available. It might be helpful to have a list of all data fields available organized by the clickable links, project search, create a map, etc. on the TIMS homepage.
Yes, and this is, we hear this a lot, and because our site has grown so large, there's so much data in there now that it is difficult for our users to navigate and to know what's available. And one of the main goals in our next round of enhancements that we've just begun the process for, but we want to have a better way to navigate and search on the homepage, as well as some significant enhancements to our data glossary page. And we can take a look at that for a minute now, because right now, if you want to see a list of all the data sets, it's limited to this dropdown, and it doesn't give you a lot of real estate to navigate this list. But say if you want to get information description of the overall data set, you have to pick it here, and then you can view the data set description by hovering over this question mark. And of course, that's not very intuitive. So we would like to have probably more of a tabular form on this glossary page that's showing you all of the data sets. Like data set would be listed, and then the next column would show its description, and then the next column would show the last time it was updated. As you can see, when you hover over, you get the date refreshed. And then if there is a URL for that data set that would link to a page within ODOT for more information, and then from that page usually is where you could get data owner information, things like that. So we would also want that URL to be exposed right here on the glossary page. And it's not so important to wait for that to load, but so hopefully in the next year you'll be seeing that, but you can still navigate through the data glossary page, even if it's a little clunkier than we would like right now. So if you find your data set and you pick it, it will filter what you see below to all of the attribute fields, and then there should be a generic description. We would also like our next phase of enhancements to include more room to give descriptions of fields, and remove the character limit that is in the application right now. So stay tuned. Hopefully that will be in the next year. And you can navigate, since we're here, again, we have that broad search term if you're looking for a specific attribute, and you can change the number of records. If there's a data set that you use all the time and you want to have this in spreadsheet format, you can export and download to a CSV. Okay.
They said, thank you. I think the data glossary is a start.
Yeah, hopefully that's a good start. Help you find what you're looking for. Okay. So let's look at our current projects now. That was the other way of viewing our project information that I wanted to highlight today. And we have the current project layers are our all project layers filtered by the construction dates. So if the begin and end construction dates include the current date, then that'll be returned by this filter. So if I turn these on and I want to use this last filter tool, filter by graphic, I want to just draw a shape, a general shape around the area of Springfield, our little area of interest for today. So first we want to use our find location tools to zoom into that area, and the fastest way is going to be just pick this find area, and urban areas is always going to be one of our options when it's, you're provided a pick list to choose an area. So Springfield, and this tool is just going to zoom me to that area of the geography that I've picked. So it's highlighting. I can just clear that. And now when we activate our filter by graphic tool, Of course, you'll pick the layer that you want to filter. Let's do our lines. And we're going to draw a polygon shape. A lot of times I will draw a buffer where you just click an area on the map with the point tool, and then you apply a distance buffer to create a circle around it. For a polygon, and it'll give you a tooltip to let you know, just click to start drawing, and then draw your shape, double click when you're done, and now you have to click the search button to apply that filter. And here, I know that we can switch the data sets, and as long as we don't refresh the page, we have this graphic that we had drawn, so we can just do that next search. And so I've done a search on the project points and the project lines, and I should see 2 results tables when I get back to my table contents or layers list. Okay. So we've kind of circled around the results layers and how the project data is formatted and presented. So hopefully you guys are a little more comfortable with that now. Before we go on to explore the other tools within the Create a Map page, I also want to show how you can quickly print a PDF map related to projects. So we're going to switch over to our standard PDF maps page. And we have a map template for fiscal year. And this is going to be just this fiscal year, but we can choose our geographic area. I'll do the full county. And you can choose the base map as well as a size. And hopefully, just to make it load faster, I'm going to choose that smallest size. So when you pick your options and then you click Generate Map, behind the scenes on the server, it's creating that file. So once it's done, the download button will activate, and then you click that button to get that file. So it can take a minute depending on your speed. There you go. Just to give you a view. So it's a predefined template, will give you a description and a legend, some information about the data that we're pulling, and then it'll be zoomed into your area your area of interest that you chose. Okay, so of course there's a couple of other different templates. I think most of these PDF templates we created for a specific office that has a regular need, but it's good to be familiar with this feature. It's, you can go and look around at the existing templates, and then if you think that your office has a need for a different template, then you're definitely welcome to request that, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we already looked at the glossary, standard PDF maps. I can't remember if I touched on the data download page. Here is where you can download a full data set, and then you can load that into your own GIS system or database processing system to do your own analysis. So all of the layers that you can choose from the Create a Map layers list should also be available here on this page. Some of the layers that we only show in the custom map viewers might not be available here, but you can assume that everything in the Create a Map page is going to be available here, including, of course, we have the full all project points and all project lines, and then we also include those predefined filters that we had available. And you can download multiple data sets at once. You just pick as many as you're interested in, and then under Export Data, you choose your format. And then this is all pre-packaged on the server, so each of these data sets is going to be zipped in a zip file, and then all of those zip files are going to be put together in another zip file. So just so you'll understand what you're about to get if you download a lot of data sets together. Okay. And so it looks like we have about 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we go through some more functionality throughout the the map page, which I think would, gets the most use.
We do have a question that's come in.
Okay,
It
great.
says, how would one use TIMS to identify the log points for a road section between two intersections?
Ooh, I like this. Okay, so let's, this is perfect. We're going to use our find location tools anyways. And we recently had a question, or, someone was saying, it's very difficult to use our address search because you can't just type in an intersection. So I wanted to highlight that you definitely can do that. And I'm going to just clear what we have here and say we're looking Route 40. It's a pretty generic way of referencing a route. And I believe Limestone Street goes through Springfield. I don't know a zip code, but I can click find, and it's going to return locations that might fit. So if I pick one, there we go. So now we've zoomed into an area, and I want to report a log point. Let's zoom in. We can clear that little marker off. And now we can use, again, under find locations, we can use this find log point tool to report a log point. So this will work on any of the state maintained roadways that are in our road inventory file. And even though we don't have that file turned on in our layer list right now, it knows where that geography is, so we can just use our base map as a reference. And if we click on the roadway, it will return the log point of that location. So I guess maybe just the most basic way. Let's see if we have it for Lime Street. That's more of a local road, but yeah, okay. You could just, click the beginning and the end. We can also use this tool, clear this out, to zoom to a log point. So if I know that there is a section of route that I want to zoom to, you can see I'll get the pick list, and then it will tell me the valid log points from beginning to end for that route within that county. So I could say 14, and it will zoom to that area, and of course it gives me a result table down here, and we can just minimize that since you see it over here. Okay, let's see. There, the find lat long tool works the same, and I find that the find log point tool is enough because it returns the lat long anyways. But if I have a lat long that I want to type in or paste in, I can do that here. Or if I want the lat long of an area that's not directly on a roadway, I can use this tool to click anywhere. As you can see, that purple flag will return this value. So that's good to know. And you can even just use this to convert between the format decimal degrees or degrees, minutes, seconds. You just click back and forth to view those different values. Okay, so these tools will get you, I refer to them as the zoom tools. They will get you to an area in the map. And then from there, you can explore the layers. So we looked at projects, of course, but let's try to give a quick overview of all of the other layers that we provide in TIMS, and it's a lot now. So assets, we have dozens of assets that you can go through and turn on to see what's around that area. And then if you want to get information about one record, you want to activate your identify tool, and that's just the little I button. And then just click over it in the map, and you'll see all of those attributes instead of in tabular format in the results table that we would get if we used a filter tool. You get them listed along the side in this identify pane. So this would be a good way as well to get a quick view of the fields that are available. And say you were wanting to search on a structure file number, you could first look here to find that field. This is a very large table, so maybe not the best example for scrolling like that, but it's here at the top, so it's SFN. And we can explore this area more by linking to some other systems under this tools drop down with the little gear. Of course, you can measure a distance. It's pretty basic. Draw a shape if you're just wanting to take a print screen or create a print of this area. Well, we'll go ahead and do it. Okay, so you just activate. If you want to do a distance, you activate your tool, click once, double click, and you'll get that distance. If you want to make a text note and then click that there. And this is temporary for this browsing session. So again, when you reload TIMS or refresh your page, that will not be there. And I'm just going to go ahead and clear that out. And then, of course, you can bookmark this location because if you bookmark in your browser, it's just going to bookmark to this URL. And when you load that, it will be the main create a map page, the starting page with no layers turned on, and it'll be zoomed all the way out. So you can bookmark to this location here. And then this will be saved in your browser cookies until, of course, you delete all of your browser history. But that's a good way if there's a particular area that you like to visit in TIMS a lot. Okay, and then our path web system. This one might be confusing sometimes because you select it and then the tool is activated. So nothing changes in the tools pane, but you see you have the crosshairs icon. So if I just click over a roadway, it is automatically going to open our path web system, and you'll see that PathWeb provides a lot of multiple views of the roadway, including the pavement view, and our PathWeb or path runners that they use, they drive the state on a regular basis and collect this information. You can even drive along if you're looking for particular assets along the roadway. This is a really good tool. And from TIMS, you can zoom, like open path web zoomed to a particular area, so that's really helpful. And then our map channel or dual maps, the behavior is the same. You select the tool and it's activated, so you just click on a roadway and then it'll bring up this page, click view map. And this is a third-party website that just mashes together all the different views that you have in Google Maps. So it's also really helpful. You can see them all together on one page. Okay. Okay, and of course we have the ability to add data to the map if you have a CSV or you've got a spreadsheet full of addresses, you can load those in. So we can try to do that.
Katie, speaking of adding data, there's a question about coordinates. They want to know,
Yes.
can you enter coordinates, northing and easting?
We don't have the ability to do it by northing and easting. It's only going to work with the global coordinate system that we are using. Oh shoot, and I mean, I say this 100 times a day, but of course now it's Web Mercator that we use to publish these services. So it has to be the global latitude and longitude. There may be some attributes that have a northing and easting in their attribute tables, so that would be something worth looking for. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess national road mile markers, that might not be. And if you're looking at historic bridges, it looks like that might be available. Okay. All right, let's give this a shot. We should have a sample for Geocode. And this is a spreadsheet with just several columns that will automatically fill in the address and the city and the zip. It will try to automatically fill them in if the columns have the same names. I don't have an address to, but I'll find my city name and then my zip. So it's brought in those locations and populated my results table with everything from that spreadsheet. And of course, it will have a results layer here, so I could interact with it. The search tools and the ability to sort, I could do all that here in TIMS. But again, this is a temporary layer that will only exist for that current browser session. So that's something important to remember. We've talked about the ability in our next phase of enhancements, the ability to add data with a Rest endpoint. So if anyone attending today would find that useful, maybe drop a note in the chat that you would definitely support us developing that. And let's see if we have any more questions. So I think I've briefly touched on everything within the site, but I can go back through any of the scenarios if you
There's no more
guys have any
questions
questions.
right now. They've been really good
Okay.
about asking them as we went along.
Yeah, we've had good questions today. Oh, I forgot about the a couple of tools that are up here in the top right, where you can change your base map. Of course, we have above this line, these are the third party. We don't manage these, we just pull them in. You can switch back and forth through those. And then below this line, these are, see, this one is managed by us. And that's useful sometimes if we need to modify a name or change the way that the symbols are layered together or something like that. And then of course we have our Osip Imagery, Ohio Statewide Imagery Program. I believe that's managed by OIT. We'll choose best available. So this is really high quality aerial photographs. I believe the state is flown on a 2-year cycle. Soon we will have OSIP 3 available. They're putting together that service right now. So as soon as it's available, we'll update TIMS. And I wanted to turn it on, zoomed all the way out, just to make a point. If you, because it's such a very, the images are very large. So if you are zoomed in and you're exploring, let's get this. Okay, if you're exploring an area and you have your base map set to OSIP, it should load a little quicker here for this small area, or it'll be really difficult. But then you close down TIMS for the day and you came back tomorrow and opened TIMS and you went to the create a map page, but the base map wouldn't load. It was just a white screen, exactly what you're seeing right now. It's good to always remember to check your base map because your browser will remember the last base map that you had and it will attempt to load that. Oh, finally, just in time. So if we ever come to TIMS and it looks like nothing is loading in the map, you can always first try to switch your base map to streets or the ODOT base map. So this is also another tool. So between the OSIP imagery and PathWeb and Map Channel, you can really learn a lot about an area without having to go into the field. Oh, and there is one more. A lot of our layers that are managed through our collector system that we publish through TIMS, they will have images attached. One good example before I start scrolling around, switch that back. I can usually find a good example in our under drain outlets, I think. So those are going to be on an interstate route. So let me zoom out. There we go. And just to pull up one record quickly, I'm going to use that identify tool. And then if I scroll down, there will be URLs for attachments, image attach, inventory, and then there'll also be one for the latest inspection associated with that asset. And if I click that URL, yes, if there is no photo attached, you will get this page. We're in the process of redeveloping how those URLs are created, so that if there is no attachment, this will be blank. But I know that there were some in the Springfield area. So let's go back there quickly so I can show you how it will look if there is a photo. And then back down, cross your fingers. Boo. Okay, so you can see that it will be very, very worth our while to make these attachments a little smarter. Here we go. So that you won't have to just click to see. But there you go. So this will be the photo that was taken with the handheld device when the crews were in the field doing the inspection. Okay. I feel like I jumped around a lot today, but I really hope that you guys found this useful, got some value out of it, maybe saw something within TIMS that you hadn't seen before, or thought of a new workflow that you'd like to try out. Of course, you're welcome. If you have any follow-up questions, you can enter them in the chat pod or send me an email, and I will pull back up the TIMS email. Oh,
I did put the TIMS email in the
perfect.
chat area, so I figured that way if you get the rare vacation, they can still have somebody that'll respond to them.
That's true. Yes, it goes to me and Steve Hale and Ian Kidner. So one of us will respond right away with information.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Katie. You did an outstanding job today. Oh, there's one more question. It says, if we became aware of a speed limit on a road has changed, should we notify the local district or TIMS? Thank you.
Yes, so because we publish, you can consider TIMS a publishing portal. We don't own the data. So if you do see a value, say in the speed limits, that needs to be updated in the data, you would want to go to the source. So you would want to, I forget who you had mentioned, but you wouldn't want to report that to us because we would then have to go backtrack and figure out who could update that in the source. Once the source is updated, it should trickle through depending on the refresh cycle. If it's a layer that we automatically refresh daily, then that change should show up the next day. If it's one of the layers that are refreshed, say monthly, then the business owner who you contacted to make this change in their database, they could request that TIMS initiate an update if instead of waiting for the next scheduled update. So we do have some options around that, but we are not able, the TIMS support team is not able to modify any of the data. If you don't know who the data owner is, then you're welcome to contact us and we can help figure that out. So we know who to contact to fix data.
Thank you. And there's no other questions that have come in, so we're going to wrap things up for today. As always, an excellent job, Katie. And we hope to see folks. Yep. Hope to see folks on a future TIMS webinar as all these exciting changes will be eventually implemented. Everybody take care. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.